Hey team, welcome to the session on Coffee with Prab. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Lubin. Before we basically discuss about introduction of Lubin, I was actually browsing some of the content on LinkedIn and all that. And every day, one article on threat detect or SOC is always be a pop up on my wall of LinkedIn. So I thought, let me reach out to Lubin. That it will be great honor for him, or it will be great honor for us to have Mr. Lubin on this platform where his insight, his knowledge, his experience will be basically useful for the freshers or experienced professional who want to learn about SOC or who working in the SOC. Might be this video will give them a great insight on that area. So, and we are really thankful to Lubin, coming out, taking out the time in a weekend. I know he working in Middle East, so we really work hard on Monday to Thursday and Friday, and Saturday, Sunday is only the time for the families. And taking out the time for this particular session is, we are really grateful for that. Lubin basically having a 15 years of experience, 14 to 15 years of experience in cybersecurity, especially in the threat detections, engineering, and all that. And currently working with one of the biggest firm in Middle East. And his experience, his wisdom definitely will be very useful for the people who watching this particular podcast. Hello, Lubin. How are you?
All good. Thank you very much. Thanks, Prab, for giving this chance to interact with you. I know that you are one of the very good guru in this field, and
No,
I
no, no,
saw a
no.
lot of courses, risk management courses, which really impressed because you talk about your topic is more aligned with the real world scenarios, right? Which everybody can understand, like what is risk, what type of risk you need to you categorize in that way. I saw one of the course which you prepare only for risk management, right? Which is excellent. So this
Thank
is a
you.
real world scenario, how you write an incident response, right? That also, you are giving a spoon feed. You just listen that topic and you will understand and you correlate you with your, how your function works, right? So which is good. Thanks, and thanks
Thanks, Mashe.
for
Thank you
giving
so
this
much.
chance. All right.
Thank you, Mashe.
Thank you.
Mashe,
Mm.
we use the word Mashe because for the people who are senior in their verticals, and that is a way we speak in Malayalam. My Malayalam is
Okay.
pathetic, but I'm learning some terms here. The best
All
thing
right.
about this guy who is sitting in front of us, by his nature, don't believe, okay, he's a very calm down person. His work of experience is amazing when it comes to architect area. And trust me, this is one of the best podcasts we will see in YouTube. I'm talking about the global level because I know what kind of a content we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss about threat detections, engineering, Splunk, Sentinel, high level, and we're also going to discuss about what is the role of on-prem SOC and MSSP. So, Lubin, I always ask this question from every expert is how you basically came to this threat detect, what make you to go in this particular field. Because why I'm asking this question is because this video will be watched by the freshers also who want to make a career. So might be, your life, your efforts, your initiatives can inspire others also. So what make you to think about, because if you see the 10 years back, no one talk about SOC. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have a era of CCNA, Microsoft, VAPT,
Correct.
forensics. SOC was boomed in last 7 6 years. So how you predict, okay, I want to make a career, and today you're leading one of the biggest firms. So what is a mantra you want to share with the people who want to make a career in this vertical?
So yeah, that's a good question. So basically, if anyone is looking for the next journey in your career, like you are right. When I started, also MCC and AMCs is a hot syllabus or a topic which we can refer and say that, okay, routing or switching or CCI, or you go with then system administration, those verticals, right? So when I'm working with that area, then I find it out. Okay, that time the cloud adoption is going on. So when I am working in that security engineering, so I saw that this is going to cloud adoption. So if you are going to cloud, then I saw that security is very relevant, right? So from on-prem black box to a cloud environment, protect your protection will be difficult because
Hmm.
it's a new thing. Same like now we are adopting AI, right? When
Hmm.
you're adopting AI, when I'm implementing an on LLM in my environment, there are some risks, right? Which we are trying to understand what is the privacy concern, how to protect that LLMs, right? Maybe LLM firewalls, we need to use it. So if somebody is poisoning the data, then how to detect this, right? So when you're thinking, if you are passionate about, yeah, IT, I'm not about IT, I'm passionate about security. You can think about where you want to go, right? If it's a security is your field that, okay, I want to go security, then think about like how to get in security. You can go in network security, you can go in SOC, different levels. I mean, around I think 2026 the streams you can go it, offensive, defensive, you can go it, right? So when I'm saying if how I came to this area, because I'm basically a system administration, then I come to onboarding of SIM solution. When I come to onboarding SIM solution, there is an interesting factor which I say that okay, detection engineering is the best which we can learn and leverage it, and it is giving more value to the customer and the organization which I'm working. So if anyone looking for a security, they need to think about where you want to go. You want to go a defensive program, an offensive program, or which program you want to enroll it, right? You want to go in a different vertical like blockchain, you want to go, then AI, you want to go. It's a basic, that's up to them who is looking to it, right? In that perspective, yeah.
So there is a one buzzword which is I've seen in last 1 year is threat detection.
Correct.
What is the threat detection? Those are watching this video, from that perspective, if you can share the insight on this area, what is threat detection? What is threat detection engineering? So in a more layman term, and how it playing a very important role in the SOC, yeah.
Correct. So so basically currently I'm working in a managed security service. So why managed security service? Inside the managed security service, what services we are giving to SOC? Okay. SOC is a small function inside your cybersecurity risk, right? Under your risk governance. This is run by your maybe CISO or the organization. This is mandatory. This for a compliance purpose basically. So if your SOC is basically PDR, predict, detect, and response. So you have to detect your threats, you have to respond to your threats, you have to remediate your threats as well, right? So then only you are, according to your business, right? So if SOC is an essential element in any business, right? If you are not addressing your threats on, remediate your threats on right time, it will impact your business and it will impact many causes in business operation. So SOC is very important. So I'll just tell you, as a SOC, there are levels of, there are two divisions in SOC, right? Cyber defense, cyber engineering. Even if it's on-prem SOC, if you, let's say Prabha or on organization, you have your own SOC environment, that is on-prem environment, which is managed and operated by your own people. Let's say you don't have any people. Let's say you think I want to transfer this to another company which is specialized in that. We call it as managed security services, right? If you see managed security services, the evolution of managed security services, you can see MSP, managed security service provider, then managed security service providers, then MDR comes, right? Okay. So in the MSP initially when it started, managed security service provider, it's only log monitoring, AV, fire, basic controls only we are monitoring. Then when it comes to managed security service provider, it purely comes detection 24/7, 365 monitoring, co-managed SIMs, next generation SIM come, then threat intel come, machine MI and AL toolkit comes, then ticketing tool comes for that MSSPs. Now we call it as MDR.
Okay.
Managed detection and response. It contains UBA, user behavior analytic use cases, automation response, that is playbooks, forensic, incident response, threat hunting. These are the elements in the MDR. So I told you, right, in any SOC, if it could be an on-prem SOC, it could be an managed security SOC, there are two divisions, cyber defense and cyber engineering. In cyber defense, we have our ninjas who are the first level of defense, right? Who is getting the alerts, triaging the alerts, and escalating these alerts to the respective stakeholders. So in that vertical, we have L1, L2, L3 engineers. Which, if the question to the first one, if someone want to start a career with the SOC, I would suggest everyone focus. Need to be an L1 engineer, then into an L2 engineer, and L3 in SOC operation. So then you can understand what are you trying to achieve in SOC, right? You are getting an alerts. That alerts can be you need to prioritize or triage your alerts and try to understand this is a false positive or a true positive or true benign, or in this category. So in that way you will have an analytic skill or understand the threats. Like, okay, for example, a brute force got detected as an alert. It's not an incident. Alert and incident is different. Okay, alert is just you get an alert. Then you, after investigation, you can understand, okay, this is a true positive. That means this is done. You need to have an remediation notice. Okay, fine. So this is in the, so I would say cyber defense. So in cyber engineering, I am fall under cyber detection engineering is fall under cyber engineering.
Okay.
So under cyber engineering, that is called cyber engineering. In cyber engineering, it should have a platform administration. That is SIM platform administration and content platform administration. Second division is detection engineering. Third, we have integration, basically. Okay, so detection engineering falls under cyber engineering, which what we basically do is we need to create detection use cases across the SIM platform which we are utilizing. For example, if it's an in-house SOC, we maybe you have only one SOC solution, one SIM solution. Maybe it could be Splunk, it could be Elastic, Logarithm, ArcSight, or whatever it is, right? So in managed security service, we are not a vendor-centric SIM solution. So we are vendor neutral, right? We cannot say that, okay, we only support Splunk, we only support Logarithm, we only support these kind of stuff, right? So our way of writing contents is on that fashion. So we write our contents in Sigma rule. Okay, from the Sigma rule, we will have a converter to convert that use case to particular platform. Then we will enable that use cases in those platforms, right? Let's say we have now for example, our MSS focus on three platforms, like on-prem we will use Splunk, Sacronix we will use it, Azure Sentinel we will use it, right? As a content engineering, we need to develop a content not against a vendor. It should be a common standard, right? Common framework that everyone know what is Sigma rule. If no one know, please go and check it. What is Sigma rule? How to create a Sigma rule in use case perspective.
If you can tell us about high level Sigma, great.
Yeah, yeah, right. So Sigma is a common language when in terms of creating a detection. So it has certain key value pairs. You need to write it, which most of the SIM solution can understand. It's not directly. We should have a converter. That converter can help you to say that, okay, this is a Sigma rule. I need to convert it into Microsoft Sentinel. Converter is available. In Splunk, there is one a tool which can convert your Sigma rule to Splunk SPLs. Right. Okay. So I will just show you. Maybe after, at the end of the session, I will show you the link how the Sigma needs to be written. Once the Sigma written, there are few elements we need to check it, right? The code which I wrote, it is doesn't have any error, a typo error, any syntax error. So there should have a tool to check your Sigma is written in a normal hygiene way, or it's correct or not. Right. So when if I'm talking about this one managed security service or how to write a use case, basically, right? You should use a framework. What framework are you using currently in our environment? Speed. If you can, I will just share my screen and show you.
Yeah, I'll make you a presenter.
This is the framework which we are using to create starting a use case, right? For example, now I will get a request from, it could be from CTI team, it could be from my SOC team, it could be from a customer, it could be from any advisories or a cert. Four people can approach to a detection engineering, say we have seen an advisory, we have seen something, we have seen some IOA, we need to create a use case, right? So we first input is from basically from these four people. Then we will create a use case detection logic. That logic will be in the Sigma rule, in the form of Sigma rule. Then we will convert that logic into particular SIM solution which you already have. So that's how we generally use and create a use case in detection point of view. So we have to use a framework. That framework, call it as a speed framework.
Okay, Lubin, actually I have one question here. I closely observed this market from last 5-6 years. Okay, we used to always have this trend about L1, L2, L3.
Correct.
Okay, now this is something which is called threat detection engineering. This is something I think I have seen in last 1 year. Okay. Because it was not there before. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was might be there, but the things which is basically coming as on a high level, I've seen in last 1 or 2 year. What is the reason for that? Matlab, it is something is a need of the company, or it is basically because of the dynamic environment of an organization where every day we have a new threats and everything. Instead of just relying on the third party IOCs and all that, now companies are building their internal team who building those test cases and use cases. That is the reason, or because this is something I've seen in last 2 years. This concept of threat detect engineering and all that. What is the viewpoint on that? Yeah.
There is a valid, very good reason behind that. So now, before 2 years back or somewhere, everybody knows SIM solution. They want, for example, you are in an organization, you say, okay, I want to onboard firewall data. You just forward your firewall data to a particular SIM solution. It could you directly forward to a syslog server. From there, a syslog server is reading from a SIM solution agent, and it is getting indexed in the SIM solution. You are saying that, okay, my part is done. Data is coming. Who is validating the data, right? If as a basic simple step in is onboarding a data in SIM solution, parsing is done or not. You forward a data, parsing is the SIM engineer job to make sure that the data is parsed to have an appropriate key value pair, which always miss. Then normalization. Normalization also, it's a key element of an detection use cases to be triggered. So what it happen is, people implement a SIM solution from a third-party vendor. Okay, they onboard all the data, DLP data, firewall data. They say, okay, data is coming. They are in a customer or in the whoever watching the show. They say, okay, now use case we have out of the box, SIM solution use case. Just enable it, it will work. No, it won't work. Then the industry identified this is not the way to identify your risk, because most of the SIM solutions, they've written their use cases, threat detection use cases on global perspective, right? You have to validate your data source once you onboard it. So for example, a Palo Alto, if you onboard a Palo Alto firewall, there are 3 type of data you should expect from that firewall: threat, traffic data, system data.
Excellent.
If the threat data is not, this is the major gap in that industry now. Even I saw many industry people, they say, no, we onboard the data. No, if you onboard the data, you should have the compliant with the SIM solution, what you're saying, right? Have you heard about in Splunk, there is a CIM model, common information model. In Sentinel, we call it as ASIM. ASIM. In Secronix, OELF. In Logarithm, there is another model. So when you are onboarding the data, you need to make sure that this is parsed, this is normalized the data, then you can use out of the box use cases. Okay, that is fixed. Everybody understood, okay, there is a normalization required. We fix those issues and all. Again, now there are out of the box use cases, right? Why we need, this is written for globally. So we need to understand what is your attack surface for a specific industry, right? For example, a banking domain or a blockchain domain, and you enable these use cases, it doesn't help for them because their attack surface is different, and the banking it's different, right? If it's a blockchain environment, they have different set of use cases, smart contract hacking, then your any deviation in your transaction that needs to be checked. So these are different use cases for different this one. So when it comes that problem, people identified a dedicated department research is required for this, detection engineering. Then only we can improve your, coverage against your threats, and you can map to the framework. That time only these speed framework, MITRE mapping, all the before I saw that most of the environment even in the SIM solution itself there is no MITRE tagging. Now all the SIM solution they are giving, when you are writing a use cases, it's showing if MITRE mapping or a kill chain mapping. So now we can easily import and export to save this management, or we can ourselves understand like what kind of APT group I'm covered, right? So CTI team, Cyber Threat Intelligence team, hey, you are an UA entity, you are in this domain, your APT group is 3 or a 4 today, muddy water, APT 42. Then you have to come and map with your use case and say that, okay, we already covered maybe 40 or 50% of their techniques which they are using. So this transformation, when that is this kind of information coming, in requirement come from the top, understood that a dedicated cyber detection engineering team should be in the SOC environment. This is mandatory. They are the one who literally work with the threat detection perspective in terms of, right, onboarding teams. That's their responsibility, just to onboard the data. They say onboard data is coming. No, it's not. So these guys need to make sure that data validated, data should be appropriately parsed, then use case logic to way, then it should be fine tuned. You enable the use cases, you will get a lot of floods in L1 team, right? Then they cannot, alert fatigue is the main problem in the SOC environment. So to reduce the alert fatigue, cyber, detection engineering is required, because a lot of fine tunings will come. Whitelisting also come, fine tuning also will come, right? So a dedicated function can help you to the SOC or a cyber defense team to increase the true positive and reduce the false positive. This is the KPI of a SOC, right? The main KPI of SOC is, true positive. If you have a true positive, high fidelity use case, I would say all the use cases must be high fidelity. High fidelity in the sense it should contribute most of true positive and reduce your false positive. In that way, we have two metrics we are calculating, right? Mean time to detect and mean time to respond. So if you are getting a lot of false positive, an analyst is spending much time to investigate that one, you get a true positive in that queue, it may missed. The mean time to respond SLA will be missed. So that KP will be missed, and the entire SOC operation fails to go with the operation. So that's a main reason why now people are adopting detection engineering as a function inside a cyber engineering. This is mandatory, right? You are a CISO. Yeah, you are a CISO, correct. If you're a CISO, maybe you are reaching to your board every thrice a month, every 3 months or somewhere, right? Then you can showcase, right? We detect, we have these many attacks. APT groups targeting to our organization. Our MITRE coverage is this, right? So yeah, this this can give from a detection engineering team. They will continuously creating the use cases. If any 0-day published, cyber engineering team will go and check any IOCs there or any logic which we can return for 2-3 days in order to monitor those traffics, or if it's not, then disable the use cases. So continuous communication with the different team is required nowadays. And because right, 0 days are coming very frequent, right? So we need to create a use cases according to that, make sure that it should be detected until that the vulnerability is mitigated.
Agree.
Yeah.
So the question is basically, Lubin, like when you're talking about you have discussed about detection engineering and all that. So how the managed security service take care of this detection content across the multiple content? Like we have a Splunk, we have a Sentinel, we have other solutions, like the companies who basically handle multiple vendors and all that. How they basically uniform, optimize the data, and how they basically follow the common method.
Yeah. So this is where we call it a Sigma.
Okay.
So when any threat detection request to come from any of the 4 parties which I told, right, it could be from customer, CTI, advisory, or a local regulatory requirement. They say, okay, we monitor this traffic for some time. Then this is the requirement, right? So when it comes, we will we have a workflow or a threat detection life cycle, I would say, where we will kick the input comes from any one of the team, that it will reach to the content team. That content team have to identify whether this use case is applicable or not. If it's applicable, the required data source is narrow. It's not like go and create the use cases. No, first you need to check whether the data is coming and the data is parsing. If already this use case is covered in any of the use cases which are already in place, maybe we need to add some logic around it, can detect this one. So this is the way how we are managing the use case. Coming back to the one-line answer for your question, how we are managing, because we have multiple SIM solution, not only SIM solution, we have EDR also, right? How we are managing EDR contents, right? We have Microsoft Defender for MDE solution, right? in Microsoft Sentinel, we can create use case in Azure Sentinels. We can create use cases in Sentinel, threat detection use case in Sentinel, and also we can create use cases in EDR also. Let's say if you have CrowdStrike, we can create a watch list or use cases there, and it will be detect there, and that being integrated in the SIEM solution. So L1 team can see that alerts are populating from the particular. So we are using Sigma for a Splunk. I mean, not for us, SIEM across our SIEM solution. We are using Sigma is our baseline. From the Sigma, respective technology SME can understand that Sigma. Either they will convert with a tool, or they can understand the logic and they can write an use case according to this that's particular SIEM platform, right? So that's how we are managing our contents.
So, Lubin, it's a very interesting fact to talk about the speed and all that. Nowadays, you have seen we have a hybrid infrastructure where we have some resources on the on-prem and we have in the cloud. We have some limitations when it comes to data management in the cloud. So, how you as a lead see this as a challenge? How you basically manage that, like the data which is pulled from the cloud with having the static data and the one data which is your on-prem. So in that case, the data is coming from a cloud and all that, a third-party cloud, not you own that cloud, third-party cloud. So how you basically manage those challenges?
Okay, so basically, then where, for example, I'll start from a classical onboarding a new customer to SOC environment. When I'm onboarding a new customer to SOC environment, we will do an assessment, comprehensive assessment. What is your what is your asset, and what is your entry point? So we'll try to ask the question: what is your entry point for anyone to enter organization, anyone. Okay, then we will understand that, okay, how to we will have some catalog, like what are the prevention and the detection controls in place. For example, Azure, if it's an Azure has a WAF, Azure front door. If it's an on-prem, I have I have these kind of WAF solutions, right? So I will be protected from any of the OWASP top 10 attacks from these WAF solution. Now in an organization, everybody is now in this region going for multi-cloud and also on-prem. Also, they have on-prem WAF solution. At the same time, they have some particular application which is public in Azure also, right? So then we'll ask, like, do you have any particular controls in place? We have a certain list, right? If it's an on-prem, we will ask, do you have perimeter, you have anti-malware, you have email security, web. So we have some categories of data source. In terms of, we categorize with the prevention, 10, 15 data sources, controls. Detection, how do you detect? Okay, we have some, we will come up, we will ask you to the customer, do you have these controls in place? In terms of prevention, in terms of detection, in terms of response also. So then we'll guide them, right? Okay, in your prevention, you don't have an EDR. If you don't have EDR, then all your endpoint machine should be covered with any SIEM solution agent. No, we cannot detect all your threats which are in your triggered in your endpoints, right? For example, you have only antivirus solution. If somebody evaded an antivirus solution, so cannot detect, because we are not monitoring your event viewer, right? So that is the basic you need to understand, like, what are you monitoring, what are you achieving in the SOC, right? You need to understand, okay, I'm protecting 15 server or 1500 workloads and 1200 endpoints. Then we will recommend you, if you have an endpoint which is not monitored by an EDR, this is a gap in your environment. Right? If same like in Azure, like, if any workloads are there, then you don't have any multi-factor authentication there. Azure multi-factor, no. Azure AD authentication logs are not there. Azure AIP, identity protection services, are not enabled, right? If somebody log in from multiple region, there is a security control in Azure itself, that is identity protection. They have cloud apps, MCAS solutions are there. They have Azure AIP, DLP protections is there. Now they have complaints. So we will ask, do you have these controls? So we will ask to the customer, not rather customer to tell us. We will ask to prep, do you have this control in place? No, I don't have. I have only Azure AD logs. No, you should implement multi-factor authentication. Then only we can detect this kind of thing. So yes, as an MSS or as an detection engineering, we have some data source, P1 data source, P2 data source, P3 and P4. I think maybe you are the first time you are listening that P1, P2, P3 data source categorization. I don't know, but I'll tell you what is P1 data source, right? P1 is mandatory to SOC, like a firewall data, your Exchange server data, your DLP data, these database access monitoring, right? These kind of data we will ask customer, this is P1 data source. If you give this P1 data source, we can have the coverage against this. Like that's how we try to educate them. So, for example, a customer onboarded an MSS, we will not say we will in the first year you will get a very much true positive. No, over the period, like first year, second year, third year, maybe in third year, if you see the true positive ratio, it will be tremendous. Like because at that moment we will understand, right? Okay, this organization has this kind of prevention. We already do an assessment. Based on that assessment, they already promise in the next quarter they will implement, right? So these kind of guidance coming from this function and also from the managed security service will help the customer to immediately protect them and detect and respond to any cyber threats. Let's say a ransomware got impacted, right? We cannot stop all the threats, right? So if the first and basic almost thing is incident response plan. We say that, okay, specific use case, if it got triggered, how do you respond to that, right? If it's a ransomware got detected in any of the healthcare industry, there is a compliance in UI, you have to report to the healthcare authority. Right. So we will help them understand, okay, if anything got detected, you have to, we give an RACA metrics to say that, okay, it will trigger, it will trigger an incident response, defer team engagement. For example, night at 12 o'clock, you got an incident, a ransomware or a ransomware got detected in one of your critical, service. We will help them and say that, okay, this should be reported to your regulatory, that is DHA or whatever, and from our internal team there is a division which is called DIFR team, which will engage at the same time and go and remediate those, like try to mitigate and give some recommendation against how this attack got impacted. Then that IOC will feedback again to us, then we will add it to our threat intel tip platforms, right? So this is a benefit. If when you are talking about an on-prem SOC, maybe you will not get it, right? If you are managed security service, if you got impacted with one of the entity, we will get an IOA and IOC from that particular incident, and that can leverage to the entire platform which customer which we are monitoring or protecting or detecting.
That's great.
Yeah.
Lubin, there's a last point I want to understand about from you is how to improve this MTD and how to increase the TP ratios and all that. So those are not aware about this, so Lubin will share about MTD and TP. So as a threat detect engineer and all that, or as a lead, how do you see how to improve this? And what is this MTD and what is this TP ratio?
Okay, so mean time to detect. Mean time to detect is the actual event happen from where to the detection, from where we detected, right? Let's say an actual incident or an incident happen in 10 o'clock. And we detected in 10:05. That means mean time to detect is 5 minutes, right? So we want to detect a ransomware got detected, maybe a ransomware alert got detected on 10 o'clock. Alerted actual event happened on 10 o'clock. It got triggered in your SIM solution or a SIM frame, your SOC, alert framework. Maybe 11 o'clock. That means you are 1 hour. You detected in 1 hour. Mean time to detect is 1 hour. Which is we have some categorization of use cases. If it trigger, mean time detect should be 15 minutes, an SLA.
Agree.
Right? Yeah, all the use cases are bound to SLAs. If it's a critical use case got triggered, it should be mean time to detection is 15 minutes, and mean time to respond is also 15 minutes. If it is breach, it's an SLA breach, right? So the organization cannot tolerate that, right? If any DDoS got affected, it should be detected within that SLA which we defined. That is called mean time to detect, mean time to respond. Mean time to detect is the time frame where between the actual event happen and the detection happen. That is your mean time detect. Mean time to respond means SOC need to respond to a particular incident within the time frame. That is the mean time to detect. So true positive and false positive, right? True positive means actual incident happened, So SOC analyst confirm and the customer also confirm that okay, this is an actual incident. This has got a true positive. False positive means that is not happened in basic. All right. So how to improve your true positive ratio? We need to continuously, every week, like what we are doing is every week we are collecting all the ratio between all the statistics between true positive and false positive, and how many true positive got against a particular use case. We'll try to understand, okay, this is a high fidelity use case we can implement to all customer, and we will consider this is a very good, curated use case or a high fidelity use cases. If any use cases which is always triggering false positive, I always recommend to SOC, if you have a use case which always give 100% false positive, we can disable it.
Okay.
Why? Because it's not, there is no, because they are not, they are just, giving a recommendation, this is false positive, closing the case. Even it is not reporting to any customer or reporting someone. So in that way, we have a process in place. If you are seeing false positive, the analyst need to trigger to engineering team, say, hey, this is false positive. It could, we saw there is a logic issue. Okay.
Agree.
For example, port scan, vertical port scan and horizontal port scan. A port scan happen from a particular internal IP, always getting trigger. It come to us. Then we identify why it's coming. It's coming from because they are doing vulnerability scanning, right? Nessus is doing this job. Then okay, Nessus is the nature, right? Because they always go and scan the network and understand what vulnerability they have, right? So this IP we need to be excluded immediately. Then you can reduce the false positive, right? So this should be a more. This a KPI should be monitored by every week. I would say, if you have bandwidth every day.
So is it possible? Like, is it possible
weekly?
To do?
Yes.
Weekly, yes. Yeah.
Weekly, yes. As a manager security service, our KPI is reduce a false positive because customer base is increasing. We are getting a lot of false positive. That means, we are burning our L1 team, L2 team, our cyber defense team, right? It cannot say that, okay, we have 60, 70 customer, it's going on, then we need to onboard more L1 engineers. The function won't work that way, right?
Agree.
Budget allocation, it won't be, suffice like, against this business. So yes, this needs to be reduced. This is mandatory.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
And are we creating any rule book, any kind of a procedure for this? Okay, by what frequency we need to update this? Like, do we have?
Yes, that's a valid question. Maybe I missed to tell you. There are few other parameters when any use case got triggered from any of the four parties, which I said to the content team. Immediately, this will go to a SOP development team.
Okay.
For example, okay, you say, I want to detect any outlier in my organization who logged in after 8 p.m. to a PAM solution. Okay. So if the request comes from a customer, then we'll say, okay, we will understand. Is this contributing a threat detection or is contributing a normal, operation scenario he is telling? Like some customer asked us, like, if any server reboot, please report to us. It's not directly contributing any, threat posture, right? A server got restored is an operational issue.
Yeah.
It's not like we cannot say directly, we cannot say it's a threat. It's not contributing any threat. This is what everybody want to understand, right? Okay. So, for example, if it's coming back to the point, if any use case comes, it will trigger to the person who is creating a run book on that. Because we are getting more customers, we are onboarding new L1 engineers. They don't know what is this use case, what is this logic itself. So each use cases, we are creating an SOP. That SOP, they can refer it and they can see how to respond to this alert. If they confirm this as a true positive, it will mention it, how to respond this in a remediation. So that's the best thing in the organization which I am working here. We have 470 use cases. All the use cases we have SOPs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we are keeping the content. We are keeping the content in a centralized repository. Everyone, the authorized person or a L1 team can come and see the logic, and they can see the SOP which is placed from their team itself. Okay, it's SOP creation is not from the engineering team. It's basically from a cyber defense L3 team. So we will give, okay, this is the sigma, this is the content. Based on that, they will create an SOP or a run book for them. Plus, they will also recommend us, okay, there is an option for creating an automated response. For
Okay.
example, yeah, any malicious exe got triggered in MDE solution, which is confirmed that the exe won't run in any of the solution, then we will immediately trigger a playbook to go to the MDE and block that particular exe execution, or contain from the, or remove from the network. So we in that process we will see any option to do a playbook automation in that use cases. Yeah, that's
That is
how when
something. Yeah.
yeah, each use cases, possible use case. So in that way, our analyst load and analyst queue will be reduced, right? We already mitigated. We already, taken action from a playbook. Let's say one of the critical stuff is data source stopped reporting. Firewall got stopped reporting from a particular customer. Analyst cannot do anything on that, right? We just create a run a playbook. Say that, okay, if any data source stop reporting in as a use case, just immediately go to the customer as an email. Customer has to respond us back on this.
So, so Lubin, like, when you're talking about the viewpoint of the entire thing, so how do you see, like, like, do you see this as a new career opportunity for the SOC people, or they need to first spend their time on the defensive side and then come to this side? So, do you wish to share some viewpoint on this? Does it require some programming knowledge if someone want to become a detection engineer? What exactly that? Yeah.
Yeah, so, no. If someone want to, come to a detection engineering, I would suggest everyone should go through and at least work a minimum 6 months in cyber defense as an L1 engineer to monitor, how the threats are coming, right? Then they will come to and understand, okay, the logics of an use case is working in this way. These are the threats. This is based on the thread, the logic is written on this way. So they will understand, they can correlate that, right? Okay, and a use case got triggered, that means this logic should be written in somewhere.
Okay.
So that logic they will try to understand. So basically, CH is the starting for anyone who is looking for a SOC. Then CH talks about all the attacks and all, right? So they can understand what type of techniques you can emulate or simulate in the particular platform and set the logs. Yeah, one thing also, when we are creating a use case, you always say, everyone always say high fidelity use cases, right? So you are a CISO, Lubin, you asked me a question, Lubin, you are saying high fidelity. So in one perspective, so we will say, we have a program inside our organization itself. It is called threat detection assurance. Out of our, let's say 100 use case, 20 or 25 use cases, we will say to the customer, we will simulate in your environment.
Okay.
We will request some prerequest, and we will run some enumeration commands. We will abuse some Windows default exes. We will try to do some Kerberoasting. We will try to brute force into your network, AD network, and we will try to create an ID account, and we'll see it is detecting or not. If it's detecting, that means our logic is working. Use cases, high fidelity use cases. This is the way we are assuring our detection is working well. And we have 3 types of the TDA. We call it as TDA, threat detection assurance. This is not in every organization. Maybe they are delivering, because they call it as maybe VAPT, red team services. No, for ours, in our MSS service, we are giving this as a value add.
Okay.
So in that way, as a CISO, you say, okay, you emulated some ransomware emulation or a firewall emulation you already done. That means definitely SOC will detect, because they already emulated, right? We already simulated this case, the scenario. That means that use cases we can say 100% true positive. Yeah. So those use cases maybe we can leverage, to create some playbooks. To say that, okay, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, please.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah. So that's how ideally we are saying high fidelity use case means this is the way we need to identify, or we are stamping as saying that, okay, this is a high fidelity use case. Yeah, when it comes to I'm talking about high fidelity, true positive, mean time to detect this kind of stuff, right? So now you can have an ask of how the maturity you are assessing, right? So we have some two. I mean, we are using NIST as a framework, and then we will validate against your controls, prevention detection controls. Then we will say your maturity is 80%, 90%, and we have one more stuff is called SOC CMM, which we have 5 domains in it.
Okay.
Okay. So I will just show you SOC what is SOC CMM here itself. SOC CMM. SOC CMM framework. Okay. In this framework, we are analyzing. You can see this measurement of capability of certification assessment. Okay, you will get an Excel sheet. Okay, this is the way which we are assessing the SOC. Well, for example, if a customer which is with us maybe another 1 year or 2 year, then we will go with this CMM. Wow. And it has 5 domains in it. If you see, and if you can download it, and this is a tool, advanced assessment tool, or the
it is an effective
tool.
one. It is an effective one. We can use this to assess the benchmark and everything, right?
Correct. It is mapped already to NIST. It is mapped already to different stuff altogether. And it basically 5 domains. So I'll just see into this. Yeah, business, people, process, technology, and service. So that's how it is. It will mention here.
It's free also.
It's free also. Yes.
Wow.
So SOC CMM. SOC CMM is the one we can say one of the maturity framework we can assess your SOC.
So we can say like that this will be more useful for the CISO or the one who working as a SOC lead and all that.
Correct. Assess yes, because CISO is running this show, right? We want to know like how mature you are. I mean, next budget. I mean, what is the gap? Is a business people gap or a process or a technology gap? This is against not only SOC, right? Full entire SOC suite.
Understood.
I would say. Yeah. So there are a few things. Maybe I think we have a few times. Okay, I'll tell you. Give some capsules. Those who are looking into cyber detection engineering, where to get the contents, right? As a Prab, also you can also see. Oh, I don't know. I mean, a lot of contents are there, right?
Yeah.
So how to? I mean, each SIEM solution, I will tell you like how you need to hack that stuff, right? So if you come here. These are the MITRE tactics, right? If you come here and select collect, this is research.splunk.com. You can see the use cases. What are the contents which are delivered by Splunk, which is publicly available, and you can see these endpoints. If you click endpoints, you have 734 contents, and if you have initial access, what are the use cases according to that? AWS dictated permanent key creation. So what is this? If you go inside, you can see the logic. See, when we are creating use cases, this is the stuff. We need to map to the use cases to MITRE, kill chain phase, NIST, CIS, and CV. So this is a anatomy of a use case in Splunk. So people can come and understand what is this use case and what is a non-false positive. So this is basically, okay, when I implement this is a non-false positive. You need to make sure this should not be trigger.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, if you go to OS credential dumping, everyone know, right? Credential dumping. Someone try to use an LSAS, then try to dump your credentials. So you need to see what use cases. So people who are interested in this domain, cyber engineering or a detection engineering, you can come and see what are the use cases which are already mapped. And this is a very good number of use cases in terms of Splunk. Let's say come to Azure Sentinel. Again, see via log source. If you ask me a question, okay, I have an Azure app service. Okay, come here and check what kind of use cases which are mapped there. Do you have that? When you click here, you can see. See, this is the kind of Sigma role, I would say. See, not Sigma role, but I am saying this is the anatomy of a Sentinel use case, right? It will say this is the query from where this logic is getting. So app service antivirus scan audit logs where scan status equal to fail. This is the logic. Okay, this is the from where you are getting the data source, this is your data source. So it will mention it. Identify if an AV scan fails in Azure App Service. This will detect a trigger an alarm. See, and same here, if you come here, if you have Azure WAF, we talk about Azure WAF, right? If you come here, we can see what kind of SQL ingestion detection, cross-site script ingestion, and these kind of these kind of use cases we can come, identify, understand, implement in any SIM solution, right? You can maybe any other requirement if you say, then I can come and check it. Then if you come, these are the Splunk one link. Everyone who is watching this video, they can come and see this content. Azure Sentinel, this is the one now. This is a cloud next generation SIM solution, right? People come and check it. And Secronix, you come here daily. They are updating, the contents. You can come and see. If you Chronicle, this is from Secronix. You can come and see all the use cases related to ransomware. What is there?
Okay, that's really great.
Yeah, if you come Google SIM solution is Chronicle, right? They have some use cases around this. And this is okay. If somebody want to simulate some attacks in the environment or a lab environment, I'm not suggesting anyone do in production environment. It should be it should be in we are doing. Yes, it would back. That's why as a company, MSS company, we have some controlled TDA. Controlled TDA means we know that it will not go beyond that limit. We will not emulate ransomware. We will emulate only maybe small enumeration commands. We'll try to add some user. We'll try to do some small care, but we in a boundary. So in that way, in that fashion, we will not use any publicly available scripts or a batch script to run. We created our own. So in that way, it is controlled. But those who want to learn it, come, download this, attack in a lab environment, create some use cases, and you see it. All right. So then when it comes to Splunk also has some kind of, simulation software like, PICUS, right? Breach and attack simulations, right? These are free only, attack range. So these attack range, if you come, these are the, environment. If you just download it and you run it to your, environment, it will build this entire stuff. You just come and, Sysmolog or Windows 7, OS Core, then these kind of things. You can emulate with the MITRE mapping also, right? You do this an action and it will simulate your APT attack, and you can see it in the SIM solution, say, okay, this use case is detecting. This is also one of the key element when I'm creating a use case. Then I would say, Prab, I'm confident because you emulate it, because we already tested in our, dev environment. So most of our use cases, whatever maximum, we try to make sure that it is get covered through our detection engineering in this demo environment as well, right? So if you come in Splunk, I'll show you. Okay, that's different. Okay, we have some Elastic. If somebody is in Splunk, I am not able to install. Secronix, I am not able to install. Okay, come and do an install an Elastic, and these are the detections in Elastic, right? Detection rules. Go through these detection rules and try to understand what is that, right? If a very good SIM solution, I would suggest for Wazoo SIM, right? Have you heard about Wazoo SIM?
Yeah, this is now buzzword. I think I've seen in last 1 year, there is a lot of demand is coming for this Wazoo SIM and all that Wazoo.
Yes, this is free. People can implement, they can simulate some attack range or something. Then these are the use cases which are already there. Try to grab it, try to do it, try to test it. Then you will say that you can do this one, right? And then attack, I think if you have time, then we'll go. But otherwise, maybe we'll have another session. How I am, for example, if in your organization, how you want to see how many use in a dashboard model. So I have some sample. Now I think we have less time. So heat map, we call it as heat map, right? So this is a sample. What is this? Green and all. It will show you, right? Green means we have 10 plus use cases. Yeah, 10 plus use case, and this have some use case. So all the customer which we have a heat map right? For example, you are a customer. You ask me like, do you have anything? Like we will ask our threat intel team, according to this organization, what is the APT group? Then we will understand. We will build the use case. We will say, we will showcase this to the management and say that, okay, this is the use case which are already in place. Maybe these are the areas we will focus in another quarter, and these are the detection controls which we, or a data source which we need in order to create a use case.
Wow.
Right. So like SSH hijacking, I need Linux server logs, pass the hash. Okay, I need Windows voice logs, right? So maybe you have EDR and NDR, right? Some
Yeah.
NDR, network detection and response, right? We are using Vectra. Some use cases like we required we need to monitor the wire data also in order to get some sophisticated attack like ransomware, data exfiltration. So NDR is a mandatory. So if you want to use EDR, NDR, then your MDR, if you have these three function in place, like you are fully protected, I would say. Because if you slipped in EDR, it will be detected in EDR. If you detect, if you slip in that, then you will detect in any of the controls, maybe firewall, UTM, other stuff of devices. So basically, you need to understand what is the data source and contributing to these kind of stuff. All right. Then speed framework we already talked about. I think now what else?
And do you recommend any book
So-
to learn about threat detection, engineering, and all that? Do you have any reference? Do you want to suggest something on this area?
No. For I would suggest this MITRE is your starting point.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right. Yeah. In MITRE, maybe we don't have time, but otherwise, I will show you like how how to create. How to operationalize your MITRE, right? We are talking about a lot of MITRE. I usually say PowerPoint talks, nothing works, right? Yeah. So you have to map your. So for example, an APT. I want to understand APT 30. Muddy water is one of the main stuff here, right? Muddy water. So we come and select maybe.
Trust me, this will be very interesting, to be frank. I haven't seen any practical approach which cover engineering with MITRE and all that in one video. It will be the golden mine. It's not about okay, it's my channel and it's your content, but I have seen a lot of content on this area. But trust me, this will be the game changer, to be frank. So we need such kind of a content should be available free, so that people get maximum benefit. And I think it can be very useful for the freshers also, and experience.
Correct. Even one of the session which I taken. So a new guy is asking, I was Sysmon. If we have if logs are coming in Windows security, why we need Sysmon? Then we told like Sysmon is an internal tool. It can give more granular information about what is not there in that which is login application. Then they are asking, okay, if then we can eliminate Windows security only concentrate on Sysmon. No, Sysmon have only 25 event IDs. Then they will understand, okay, Sysmon has only max 25 event ID only in Sysmon can coverage. Remaining it will be that, okay. If some scheduled task created in your lab, in your machine, it should be recorded in Windows security. That also by default it won't come. You need to enable it. And 4688 command line process by default don't come the entire command which you run. You need to enable it from the audit policy. Okay, yeah, this is stuff. So, for example, I'll just quickly show this. This is the APT, right? For example, muddy water we talk about, right? So we just see muddy water. Then we'll just color code this one. Then then okay, then this is the score for one. I say your company. I say okay, you have muddy water, this stuff. Then how to prioritize? Just try to help you, like how to prioritize when you say multiple APT groups are there. Okay, then how I'm prioritizing to install each techniques, right? So I'll just create one more layer and say that okay, this is for APT. Let's say APT 3. APT 3. Then I will select this and I'll come here, then I will add one, maybe 4 score or something. Then I will map it. True, I'll create an new version released. I think 15 now. A plus B. Create a So now you see, right? APT, this is a muddy water. With how the tactic and tactics they used it for the specific APT group, they are going in this direction, and this color code with this color code, and this they have the color code for APT3. Now, how will I prioritize which APT group or which technique I need to prioritize and implement it for a specific customer? So I will just create a abstraction layer and see, anything more. I give this is score 1, this is score 2. So anything which is score 3, I need to prioritize and implement it as soon as possible. So that means this is a common tactic and technique which these two APTs are using. So I will just come and I'll just come and say, okay, as a customer, I'll say I will prioritize maybe this quarter or this week for this kind of green ones, and the remaining ones we will, because it is contributing 1 APTs. Yeah. Thank you very much. I know that I took much time.
No. But this is basically a bit fascinating, actually, to be frank, the MITRE part. I wish we can have 1 more hour, because I want to discuss about the integration from the architect perspective. But is it possible, Lubin, we can have 1 more session where we can discuss about the architect of this called SOC architecture?
Yeah, we can, yes. How we are sizing the data source, how we are, when your customer is asking, we will try to grab, or what are the data source we are onboarding, what is a log. So customer is interested only, it's okay, how many GB of data, how many EPS I need to consume when I'm coming to your platform, right? So there are certain questionnaire which I can show you. We can work through it. And architecture of a SIEM solution, right? It should be high available, or in different location. In Splunk, we have high availability and disaster recovery. One site goes down, we can how to utilize in another site. So in our MSS also, we have multi-site, data being passed across might. If one site goes down, it will get data. For example, a customer who's onboarding the data, we will send the data to both location. From there, it is replicating here, and the one site we will actively using as our correlation searches and all, right? Yeah. So multi-site also, we will see how to incorporate on that session. Yeah.
And Lubin, I'm taking too much time of yours as we discuss in 1 hour. So before we basically wind up this particular session, I want to understand one last important thing, is that those who are preparing for a SOC, or the freshers who basically preparing for a SOC. So I know there is a new concept is now we have a chat GPT where we can get the questions, interview questions and all that. Any 5 or 10 questions they should prepare, okay, when they're basically going for the SOC interviews, which they can expect in the jobs. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations?
Of course. Yes. So basically, data source. If I'm an interviewer, I try to understand, you should know, before you talk about whatever you are seeing in ChatGPT, password spray, vertical port scan, horizontal port scan, anything. I will ask guy, to the person who is listening this one. Firewall. In firewall, what are the logs as a SOC I need to expect? So they should answer traffic, then threat, system. And then I'll ask, in system, what you will get? In system, I'm getting this. Okay, I'm good for the second question. From the WAF, what are the expected logs I'm expecting? In WAF, I'm expecting signature logs. Yeah, SQL injection, blocked, allowed, denied. So if that knows, then I'm good. Then I'll ask a question like, somebody run a enumeration commands from a endpoint machine. How do we detect? What are the method to detect? What are the enumeration commands we use, right? So if somebody use IP domain users and try to list the user, or in Azure AD they try to do AZ list groups, AZ list their VM, download all the VM details. These are enumeration. So I will ask the enumeration comments. So I will start from a question from reconnaissance to impact from the MITRE. Okay, and I will ask about the data source and also what technique they are using. Right. In brute force, what is your condition of brute force? So ideally, when I ask a brute force, if the person answer me right, and right one, it should be like within 5 minutes, not within 1 hour. Within 5 minutes, if somebody tried to, a particular user is getting failed logins more than 50 or 60 times, We will call it as a brute force. But most of the people have slipping. They will say, no, maybe 1 hour of 1 hour span. 1 hour span, nobody is doing it. It's a
Agree.
normal. I agree. Yeah. So then I will ask, like, what is service accounts, right? So service account, how can it can be an attack, right? So for most of the people, they create a service account, they add that service account as logon type, normal logon type, right? I mean, interactive logon. And I'll ask her, it's, if they allow interactive login, is it a mistake or it's good? So service account should not be an, login as an interactive login, right? Then basic event IDs I will ask, right? What is 4624, 4605? And if scheduled task created, then what is the event IDs? So basically they should know each basic data source, what is the expected, logs come inside, and then talk about the use cases. Once they talk about use case, then I will understand, okay, this is capable. Then we'll go with the MITRE. What framework cyber kill chain. What is the difference between cyber kill chain and MITRE? Kill chain is all about staging of your use cases, and the MITRE is all about mostly exploits, right? You exploit, then it will be triggered, right? So that's a big difference. Then yeah, these I'll go through all this, then I'll understand, okay, where this person coming from. Then most of the time I got, okay, the person is literally working in SOC L1 engineer, but he tried to come in engineering. He used to say, I worked in creating use cases. Then I will ask, what is the anatomy of an use case creation, which you create in any platform. If it's a Splunk, tell me about SPL. If it's a Sentinel, okay, tell me about KQL, how the KQL works. What are the tables? Like, if I'm onboarding a data to a Sentinel, in which table it contains the data? Common security level, security incident, security alert, what table it is. Yeah, so all around that, I'm focusing on engineering side.
And
then
yeah, go ahead.
No, this is a basic ask. Usually, top 10, maybe I would say, we'll ask around this only. If the person try to answer this question, well and good. Then either TTP, false positive, MTTR, MTTDB, no need to expect them, because that's a different process altogether. But who are coming as a fresher, they need to know that this is the basic stuff. They don't need about the architecture of a SIM solution, no need about how to onboard the data, how the parsing, normalization works. No, only tell me to SIM solution which you work, how the anatomy of use case works, and what data source expected. If a customer come and ask you, I want to detect if somebody bypassed somebody login without MFA, then you should have an idea. MFA means, okay, you need to ask the customer which MFA are using. Is it an Azure AD, or what is your identity solution? Is it an Azure AD or your normal AD? If it's a normal AD, you are using a different MFA solution, SafeNet. Okay, in SafeNet, if these logs are there, okay, then well and good, onboard it, will correlate the data. So basically, they have to tell, okay, this what is correlation, right? Correlate the multiple data, connect those points, and create a use case that is called a correlation search or a use case output. Yeah, what is an output of a correlation? I will ask. It should be a notable or a dashboard or an alert. It should be a notable. Notable means it should be an alert.
Okay, and these are the important elements that we validate here. But this is basically normal. You can say normally what happened on gunpoint. We say, "Na, will you do this?" For me, the gunpoint is basically recording session. So,
yes.
Lubin, in past I did the one session with Mr. Naboda. Naboda is basically also into SOC. So he shared a very interesting case about the SOC career and all that. And after that, it's basically, find something unique in this content is your Lubin. Both of you guys doing an amazing job. See, one thing I want to say, I can promise you one thing, this content will be one of the best content I like, to be frank, on the SOC engineering perspective. And it will be definitely eye-opener for me. And it gave me one motivation, it gave me one opportunity to build better YouTube content on this area. Because the one you talk about speed, I made a notes of that, that basically, so it's so fascinating. I talk about, you talk about Sigma, you talk about SOC maturity, you talk about the use case of MITRE, central use case. That is the best thing about this particular session. But my question here is, Lubin, based on the student interest and all that, will you love to do one more session on interview sessions where, how the freshers can be basically prepare for the jobs and all that? Will be a 30-minute session, and it will be really honor for us to have you in that particular session also, if possible.
Sure. Yeah, it's possible, definitely. See, now in this session, whoever watching this session, I show some links, right? Literally, they will give end-to-end idea. Like if in use case itself, right? I'm giving like go this, check the content. Why? What is the logic to return everything? For those who are interested and aspirant for that, literally they can leverage this. We didn't talk about much about a vulnerability management. There are the digital risk protection service, which already I allowed to speak, but now I think we are more than 1 hour, so maybe we'll connect in next session,
That's
the
that's
interview
that's
session or something. Yeah,
that's great actually, Lubin. And Lubin, thank you so much, coming off, taking out the time in a weekend and for this particular session. And we are really grateful, Mashe. We're really grateful that you take that time. And I know the kind of a job you handle is basically SOC and all that, which is basically require 24/7 involvement. But taking out the time for
war
this
room.
particular, yeah, wardrobe, yeah.
War room.
Yeah, but I really mean it, and we're really thankful for you have shared your wisdom, thoughts, insights, expertise in this particular video. I'm sure this will give a new perspective to the people who are watching this particular podcast, and those who are watching this particular video. Is it okay, Lubin? Like I can share your LinkedIn profile in the description box. So if someone want to reach out
Yep,
to you for anything, they can reach out to you directly.
please, please.
So and make team, those who are watching this video, follow the Lubin, because recently I have seen his content and he doing really amazing job in us threat engineering and all that. And that is how the beauty of SOC, it's world is small. We don't know where you will basically get a support from the mentors like him. And make sure you should not miss the opportunity. And do let us know in the comment box what is the next video should I record with Lubin, and and where he can share about the insight of the new topics. And thanks, Mashed. Thank you so much for the support and the thoughts that you have shared in this podcast. We're really grateful for that.
Thank you very much.
So this is all from our side, team. Do let us know how you find the podcast, and if you're new to the channel, do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss the future videos on a similar topic. Good day. Bye.